Okay, looks like we're live. Hello, everybody. How are you all tonight or today, wherever you are? Just gonna take a few seconds again, let everybody kind of roll in, and I'm kind of getting situated on my side. So just chill for a few seconds. Say hi in the chat. Happy to say hi to all of you. What episode are we on now? This is Q&A episode number 30. Wow. Okay. How's the audio? Somebody said that you can't hear me very well. One second. Okay, is this any better? Maybe I'm too far from my mic, but I mean, I did a recording and it picked it up pretty well, so I hope this isn't blowing out anybody's ears with headphones on. Hmm. Gonna get some weird Vince drinking tea ASMR from the mic being this close, but we'll see. It's like 1 a.m. here, so I gotta have the tea to just make it through this. Just to let you all know in advance, this is gonna be a little bit of a shorter stream. We're not gonna do the 3 hour stream this time. To kind of make it up, I guess I'll do another live stream, I think, towards the end of March, as we'll probably have a lot to talk about by the end of March, given the releases that are coming with Dark Deception Fortnite and Super Dark Deception Chapter 2. So it should have some a lot of stuff, like a lot of cool things to kind of discuss at that time. Today we have Monsters and Mortals new DLC release, which is the Coma 2 Vicious Sisters. And actually that's ready to launch. So all I have to do is kind of push the button, that will go out. We did a massive amount of play testing yesterday and throughout today, so I'm a little bit kind of worn out from that. So I apologize if I'm a little bit low energy right now, but it's been a long day. So we're going to put that out pretty much as soon as this live stream's over. So I'm going to cut it at about an hour and a half. And I apologize if anybody puts in a super chat or has a question for me in the member chat that I don't get to. But in order to get the trailer out and the DLC out at a reasonable time, I can't let this Q&A drag on too long, but I didn't want to, push it to tomorrow and delay it any further just because I've already kind of delayed it a day. So for anybody that's waiting on that DLC, that will be pushed live as soon as this live stream is over. So you'll get to play it very soon. I think the trailer, I'm not going to hold the DLC up for the trailer. I think the trailer will probably go out an hour or two after the DLC launches, and I think that's fine. Everybody who already knows what Monsters and Mortals is can jump right into the DLC. They want to see the trailer, but that's not going to influence their decision on whether they're to get the DLC or not. For people who are new to Monsters and Mortals and definitely need to kind of watch that trailer to get excited and see what it's about before they jump in and buy it or play Monsters and Mortals, then that will come, pretty shortly after that, maybe 2 or 3 hours after launch. So yeah, everything will be dropping today as promised. You all got to see the console trailer. Seems like a lot of people liked it. I thought it was pretty funny, so I'm glad a lot of people agreed with that. And we have a lot of new trailers coming up, I think next week. March 5th and 8th? March 5th, we have trailer 2 for Super Dark Deception. And then shortly after that, March 8th, assuming no last minute incidents like what happened with this DLC with Monsters and Mortals, where some undiscovered game-breaking bug rears its ugly head, I think we should be launching the Fortnite map on March 8th and dropping the trailer. And the trailer is really awesome. I think people will enjoy it. And the Fortnite map is really fun as well. I think those guys over at Stick Games Did an amazing job on it. So yeah, it's going to be a fun week. I know I'm not like a high energy to make that sound as exciting as I think it is, but it is going to be a really cool week for Dark Deception fans. And then, after that, we have at some point in mid to late March, we have Super or Dark Deception Chapter 2 that's going to come out. And that's going to be pretty amazing as well. I think you guys are going to really love it. Definitely worth the extra little bit of weight that it was. Um, yeah, there's some things with the SAG strike that we still haven't solved, but for the most part, it's good to go. So for anyone that's kind of rolling in or has been through a lot of these Q&A live streams with me, it is kind of like a off the cuff improv type of thing. I don't have a script or a plan for these live streams. I just kind of wing it as it goes. But what we usually do is I will answer questions about any of the games. A lot of people tend to focus on Dark Deception and the existing chapters of the upcoming chapter 5. But we have other games now with pretty good followings. So questions about Super Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals or House are also welcome. And I usually take questions from Super Chats first. If anybody wants to contribute and support our team and have their question answered, I prefer that you kind of lump them together as a like one donation and ask a question rather than doing a lot of micro donations. I understand if you have a lot of questions, just put it together in a list and I'll go through your list rather than having like a lot of super chats to try to keep it going. Normally I don't mind that. It does make the live stream kind of go for 2-3 hours, which I don't mind. I'm happy to put that time in. But today we're on kind of a deadline, so consolidate and we'll be good. And then after that, I will take of course, our YouTube members, our channel members. We love you guys. We're happy to keep the chat members only because that kind of focuses it on our top supporters and people who actually care about the game versus people who run in to kind of spam things or try to be silly or disrupt other people's viewing experience. We like to focus on questions for people who actually care about our games and really play them and are our top supporters. So we'll take some member questions after that as well. But yeah, let's kick things off. I've kind of rambled on long enough as an excuse to kind of sip my tea. Let's get to it. All right. Let me scroll up. We do have some super chats, so I'm going to start kind of at the top. Is that the top? Oh, yes. Okay. So we have Dr. Philip the Fourth through in 5. Thank you, Dr. Philip. And he asks, will Malik return in Dark Deception 2? We haven't even spoiled Chapter 5 enough yet. I can't spoil the sequel to the game. Yeah, I mean, if I actually kind of already have the cast for Dark Deception, Dark Deception's second arc already chosen. But if I give even a hint of who the characters are going to be, it will totally spoil Chapter 5. So I don't want anybody to know the outcome of the S ending, the true ending of Dark Deception Chapter 5. So can't really answer that one, but I appreciate the attempt. Props to you for that, and thank you for the support. And we have Abram Guy through 999. Thank you, Abram Guy, and says, "Hey Vince, it's Abram Guy. I wanted to formally apologize for some of the things I said back in January on that post about the dog. What I said was completely unacceptable. I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Oh man, you didn't have to donate to say anything like that. You could always just email me and I'll probably see it at some point, but I appreciate the apology. A lot of people aren't willing to apologize for anything, so you don't really owe that to me. I'm not really asking for it, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And I always think it takes, it takes somebody with character to admit like they made a mistake. Even as myself, I know how hard it is to apologize sometimes. People have a pride that kind of gets in the way. So I'm very well aware, and I've done my share of apologizing. Although maybe the Dark Deception fans haven't seen as much of it as they'd like, I do it in my own personal life constantly. So, you know, it's water under the bridge to me as far as I'm concerned. Like, if anybody watched that legal live stream, we've already kind of closed that chapter and moved on. Even if the people involved don't want to close the chapter and move on, we are moving on, and we are focused on games. So, thank you very much, Abrams guy. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the support. And actually, as a follow up, he threw in another 5. Thank you. It says, while I'm here, I might as well ask a question. Okay. Do you have an inspiration behind Fear Fortress's design and story? Yes. I'm trying to think how much of it I can say without, because I haven't shown anything from Fear Fortress really. I've kind of kept it under wraps other than the music. I haven't shown anything visually of Fear Fortress. And that's intentional because when players reach Fear Fortress, I want them to kind of have a fresh experience seeing it for the first time and see if it really meets their expectations of what they're expecting Malik's lair to look like. So we have several inspirations. I think a lot of people could kind of guess some inspirations for Malik being a businessman that he is. I try to stay away from like real world stuff, but just like previous characters from other series that I'm trying to see if I can allude to any of them without spoiling too much. I wish I'm struggling to find something I can give you here, but yeah, I think I'll hold on to this one. I'll rain check this question. What happened? Did the stream just die? Okay, I don't know what just happened there, but the stream just kind of hiccuped and disappeared for a minute. I assume like maybe the screen went black. For some reason. I don't know why the screen blacked out there. Hopefully I'm back and you're watching. It seems like it's okay again. But I think I'm going to rain check that question until like we have a teaser out for chapter 5 and maybe I have a little wiggle room to answer that. I can't really talk about Fear Fortress or Wicked Ways. So sorry about that. I appreciate the support and the donation, and I wish I could answer that for you. But yes, I'll go into the inspirations behind Fear Fortress probably at a later date once we've revealed some stuff with the trailers, or chapter 5 is out. I can start to kind of finally answer questions about inspirations behind those chapters without them being spoilers. So apologies for now and bear with me, but I have to keep them some things secret. Let's see. Fascia threw in 6. Thank you, Fascia. And sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. How can Malik be fatherly despite being a demon? That's a good question. Who's the better father, Malik or Doug? Or who's the worse father? I think Malik has a special attachment to Agatha because she holds a special value to him. Malik is a guy, or a demon, as most business people are. He kind of sorts his associates and his minions and his the mortals and demons that he's connected to based on how much value they have to him. So if you have a value to him, he will naturally treat you better and present the, maybe not always real, but present the illusion of a relationship. So the question is Agatha a situation like that where it's the illusion of a father and daughter, or is it real? Does Malik have a real attachment to her? She's obviously not his daughter, but he did have a hand in her creation. He is responsible for her existing, so partially responsible. So that's some of the things that'll be shown a lot more in chapter 5 is the whole um, subplot between Bierce and Agatha and how they're connected and how Malik's kind of involved in that. That will be kind of answered. Um, so yeah, maybe that will help you decide if Malik is what you would define as a father or a good father, given just the little bits of relationship that he's shown through chapters 1 and all the way through chapter 4 with Agatha in the ballroom fight scene and kind of some moments prior to that. Let's see. Sea Dog threw in 5. Thank you, Sea Dog. Hi, Vince. If I purchase Dark Deception Complete on Steam, would I still be able to install Chapter 5 on launch day? Oh, yeah, of course. So if you bought Complete, you're basically buying Chapter 5 in advance. So when Chapter 5 finally does launch, it will just update your build or your game inside Steam. So you'll have the Chapter 5 content. You don't really need to do anything. It will just update automatically on that day. So yeah, no further purchases. You don't have to spend any more money. Same thing with the console. So when we put Dark Deception chapters 1 through 4 out on console, and that will be, if all goes well, that's going to be before June or by June. Could be in the month of June for all I know, or my estimates always tend to slip a month, so it could be anywhere from June to July, or best case scenario slightly before that. But besides that point, because I'm just saying that as a precaution to the people who are already writing down, Vince said it's coming out in June. You know how this works by now if you've been here for a while. That is simply a estimation, but we are planning for that, and when it goes out, there will be a set price. It will be the final price. It will not be a discounted price anymore. So once we ship chapters 1 through 4 to console, that new price will be set. That is the what did I say? It was $34.99. That will be the console and the PC price at that point. It could be $29.99. I have to double check what we put in that tweet, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those two. I think it was $34.99. But that will be kind of the new price, and that will include Chapter 5 as well. So when we update PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series SX and, release it on Switch 2, it will just be updated to your build. So you won't have to pay anything else. It will just update automatically. So yeah, you get those chapters 1 through 4 with all the new content up front, and then you get Chapter 5 when it releases. So it's kind of like it's front loading all the cost, and that helps us get things done faster. People want us to get Chapter 5 done faster. Obviously, that requires money. So rather than kind of eking along and going month to month, relying on the income from chapters 1 to 4 to kind of finish Chapter 5, it gives us a large chunk of money up front that we can use to accelerate Chapter 5 to the finish line. And that's kind of our hope with the, besides getting Chapter 1 through 4 out early and letting you guys finally play it on consoles with the all the new additions and the final version of those chapters, which are a drastic improvement. And for some people who are not English speakers, they finally get the subtitles for Chapter 4, which have been missing for quite a while. So it fixes a lot of bugs reported by fans. It does many things. Completely new UI system, completely new way to play the game with third-person mode. New story elements, all new jump scares. It's almost like an entirely new game. I mean, obviously it's familiar. It's the same levels, but everything is noticeably different. So, yeah, you won't have to wait long for that. So you get your first taste of the new Dark Deception very soon. And then that money that we make from the console sales will help us push Chapter 5 out faster. So I think that's a great thing, and we're excited about that. That's going to be your first taste of Dark Deception in a while. It's been a while. 2021, I think, since Chapter 4 of the main game. And that will give you also kind of a preview of what Chapter 5 is going to look and feel like. And then for those who didn't see the announcement, the Dark Deception Fortnite map is going to have Easter eggs for Chapter 5 in it. And at least one of them is a big one that I've never shared. It's presented in a small way. It will seem kind of not so significant, but it reveals something about Chapter 5 that I've never shared. So there are some actually big Easter eggs inside of the Dark Deception Fortnite map that you can search for that will be um, pretty cool to see. I think you guys will enjoy it. And it'll give you something to talk about, definitely. Let me find my place again. Okay, I have Shayla Kazolius through in 5. Thank you, Shayla. She says, you said that the white mannequins are either props or traps before, right? Didn't the Dread Duckies have something similar? Well, the Dread Duckies simply kind of put themselves into a mimic state where they try to imitate the dummy duckies around them. Though the white mannequins are somewhat similar. They are a trap. I can't reveal why they are a trap, but I think it'll reveal itself once you see a teaser for Holiday Horror. You will get a preview of how they function. So I can't reveal that right now, but yeah, I would call them an unintentional trap, but also kind of a prop. So they are kind of a blend of both. They can be completely harmless or they can be extremely dangerous. It kind of depends, and it'll make sense later, I promise. Just right now, I have to be a little bit cryptic and keep it kind of secret at this point as much as I can. All right, JM Death Punch threw in 10. Thank you, JM Death Punch. Says, hey Vince, hope your day is going great. I was just curious if you've ever considered having graphic settings like AMD, FSR, NVIDIA, DLSS, DLAA, and HDR support for both Dark Deception and Monsters and Mortals in the future. Yes, we do have that for Dark Deception, but not Monsters and Mortals. It's just not something we're integrating at this point or putting in. We keep Monsters and Mortals pretty low budget for improvements and advancements and additions. And then that kind of keeps the game able to stay alive. Because Monsters and Mortals is a profitable game. It's been profitable since about 2022. And we spent very little making it. So it doesn't need to make a lot of money to be a win for us and continue to be a profitable game. And I think that confuses a lot of our, the people who want the game to die for some reason. They're kind of annoyed that it's still living on, even though it doesn't always get like high. It has its peaks and valleys where it spikes when there's a new DLC out, and then it flatlines as people move on, play other things, and wait for the next DLC. That's kind of Monsters and Mortals' life cycle. And that's fine as long as the interest always comes back for the DLC. But they don't understand that how can that game still be alive when it's like that, because they have this not with false, but confused understanding of concurrent players where they think that somehow is the measurement of success. Like that's how we make our money. And in a freemium game, that would be absolutely true. The player size is usually how they make their money because they rely on in-app purchases or ad spend from video reels if it's for mobile. But in a paid game, the only thing that the game needs to be a success is the purchase of the game itself. If everybody purchases it and never plays it, it'll be pretty boring and people won't want to buy it because it's dead. But if for some reason people kept buying it anyway, it would still be a successful game. So that's kind of the situation with Monsters and Mortals, but we're always kind of aware of where the support line is, and we can only do enough that it doesn't cost too much and it doesn't become a game that's losing money. So the level of fan support, how many people buy the DLCs, how many people buy the game, directly absolutely affects what we can do with Monster Immortals. So I get people asking me, hey, can you put those new Dark Deception models inside of Monster Immortals? Sure, if we sold more copies, because I have to invest time. And when I take that time my time mostly because I manage all the games. I have to hire somebody to work on that, so I don't have to pull people off the Dark Deception team or pull people off. The 2D people aren't going to do that. That's 3D. So I have to bring somebody in new in and work with them to take care of those little things, and that costs money. So the fan support does directly affect what we can do with Monsters and Mortals. So we have to keep it within the scale of the fan support. So if the fan support is very little, but it's enough to keep the game profitable, that means we can add additions to the game, but those additions are going to be very little. We can't just do everything under the sun because the fan support doesn't match that. So it's kind of that. I mean, if we get a wave of fan support from the console release, if we suddenly get an entire new player base that doubles Monsters and Mortals size, then a lot of things become possible. We can do a lot of the fan requests that we get that cost money that just don't make sense right now would suddenly make sense. So yeah, I mean, it really is in the fans' court. You guys have the power. You decide how long this game lives and when it dies. How much we can add to it. Because I think everybody knows our focus is Dark Deception, the main game. That's where most of our people are working on, and that's where we put most of our effort. And then second would be Super Dark Deception, but that's like a 2D team. That's a completely different team. And then Monsters and Mortals, we do with it what we can, but we give it our best, no matter what we're doing. So Dark Deception, all of that is a yes because of the massive support we get for Dark Deception. And Monsters and Mortals is a no for now, but maybe in the future. We'll see. Virtual Man through in 10. Thank you, Virtual Man. Is there any chance you could convince Konami to allow the Silent Hill DLC for Monsters and Mortals on consoles? Because it would be a real shame if console players miss out on one of the best expansions for the game. I agree with that. I mean, I would love to put Silent Hill out on consoles. I think we can't do it in this case because, well, first, let's say the obvious. We are a very small team of nobodies when we licensed Silent Hill. We had Dark Deception. That was pretty much it. And there's been so many AAA companies and much more successful indie teams than us that have pitched Konami to get Silent Hill and failed. And they couldn't get the license. And then we came in, and because of the success of Dark Deception and the fact that some people inside Konami were fans of Dark Deception, we were able to get it. It was just a matter of good timing and being in the right, like pitching it the right way to the right people at the right time. So it had worked out, but that license had a time limit, and that time limit is a one-time deal. So we were extremely honored to be able to work with Silent Hill. Of course, we would have loved to have made like a real Silent Hill game like Bloober Team did, but we had our own focused on our own games, and we were just ecstatic to be able to have a Silent Hill DLC that will now always be part of Monsters and Mortals. It's the license is up. We can't renew it, but it's always there. Everyone who bought it, and there's a lot of you who bought it on Steam, it will always be in that map rotation. And new people that come in and play, it's very likely that they will run into people that own that map, and they will also be able to play Silent Hill. And even though we can't bring it to the consoles, Konami has no interest in bringing it to the consoles at this time. They could change their mind, but it's highly unlikely. They want to move on to bigger things. So the reason Dead by Daylight always gets to renew the Silent Hill license is because of their massive audience size. Money talks. It really does just come down to that. It sounds, it's a little bit shallow or whatever you want to call it, but that's just business. I mean, Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals makes a certain level of money, but Dead by Daylight is, at the top. That's making like a magnitude of order of magnitude higher than Monsters and Mortals. So they're able to renew the license. But even they had a little bit of trouble in the beginning. There was like a gap where the Silent Hill license expired, and Dead by Daylight had to kind of wait a little bit to renew it. So I'm not really too upset about that. I agree with you. It's disappointing. I would really have loved to see that DLC on consoles, but I think we have a lot of great DLC still with Monsters Immortals that will kind of hold the fort for console players. We have things like Poppy Playtime. Obviously that has a lifespan too. So if you haven't bought it, get it before the license expires. Monstrum, things that are long term licenses are like Monstrum and the Coma 2. And then we have Piggy and Doors are going to be long term licenses. They're not going anywhere. And then assuming that these DLCs continue to do well, there will be new DLCs in the future. So that really is in the hands of the fans. Let's just appreciate that it ever even happened to begin with, that we had that opportunity that other fandoms never got. Let's see. 5 from, there's no name. I guess it's anonymous. Okay, anonymous fan. Yeah, okay. Thank you, anonymous fan. What is the soul type of the matron? So the matron is essentially the same as the Reaper nurses, just to a more extreme degree. She's kind of the protector of the Reaper nurses. So the Reaper nurses, they had hard lives. They suffered in love. They had an addiction to toxic love, in some form in their lives, and that led to a lot of pain for them. They reference pain a lot inside of torment therapy. That's the addiction that they have is almost like a self punishment, that they submit themselves to that kind of abuse in the name of love. But is it ever really love? It's like a toxic love. So the matron is kind of the one that watches over them and protects the sisterhood of these angels of mercy, as they like to call themselves. And obviously, she is not male. So, yeah, she's kind of their caretaker and protector in the ways that men maybe failed them in their mortal coils of their mortal life. Let me see. Oh, I got another 5 from anonymous fan. Can we get a hint for the future? Super. I guess that. Whoops, he typed it wrong, but I guess it's a Super Dark Deception crossovers. Those ones I'm not allowed to announce yet. They are under NDA, but I expect at some point in 2025, between chapters 2 and 3, I'll be able to announce that. So I'm focusing right now on getting a lot of content into Super Dark Deception, making it as the most ridiculously fun 2D horror game that you can find on consoles or Steam, and giving it a lot of replay value for the low price. So that's my focus right now. And then we'll start to drop those crossovers that are just pure fun. Like they're going to be playable from the arcade, and they will be entirely self-contained stories that you can play through using the Super Dark Deception characters and the powers and all of that. I would compare it to, and I think I may have done this in the previous live stream, is I would compare it to Ode to Castlevania from Vampire Survivors. Like that's kind of what we're going for with these Super Dark Deception DLC, is something of that scale that has like an actual story and a progression and then a conclusion, and maybe even a linear approach to unlocking characters. I thought that was a really cool way to integrate stuff for collaborations in a 2D game. So that's kind of been our inspiration a lot, is Vampire Survivors for these 2D DLCs, because we do want them to pay homage to great 2D games and really fit with Super Dark Deception well. Okay, Lonely Mage through in 10. Is Prison Panic really close quarters? And also, is Prison Panic really music focused? Well, let's start with the latter question first, even though it's not first. Prison Panic is the most music focused level in all of Dark Deception, I'd say. Obviously, because of Darkstar being a performer and a singer in her own twisted way, it's very focused on performing, and music is part of it, performing. Close quarters, some areas. I mean, it's a mix. I wouldn't say it's all open or it's all close quarters. It's definitely a mix, and it has a focus on, I guess, kind of a sense of grand scale. You'll understand what I mean. I mean, so you've already seen some of the concept art with the transport of the prison cell. You can see kind of in that. I mean, it doesn't show much, but it shows like a void of some sort. The grand scale of that void, even though it's kind of cropped and you don't get to see all of it, it does give a sense of the space. So I would definitely expect some large spaces like that. And obviously, prisons are known for being very um, congested and close quarters. So yeah, I mean, you can reasonably expect a mix of both. I think most prison environments and games kind of offer that. You get like the cell block, and then you get kind of the yard, which is big and open, things of that nature. And yeah, just remember, no matter how much music's involved or performing or whatever else, this is a prison. So expect to see something very prison like. Let's see. 5 from Anonymous Fan again. Have you and Manytoon picked the piggy characters? Mortals, monsters, traps, boss? If so, can you tell us? Well, I don't want to spoil anything for Manytoon. I did have kind of a long call with him a little while back when that document popped up, because that guy kind of threw it at the piggy audience because they're younger, and they kind of took it, hook, line, and sinker. And then they started badgering Manytoon, like harassing him to cancel the collaboration, basically like shooting themselves in the foot, to take something away from themselves. So after kind of clearing that up, I had a call with Manytoon, and we went over and talked about stuff related to this. Obviously we both signed NDAs. I'm not allowed to talk about what we discussed or how we discussed it, simply that we had a discussion and we did go over things of that nature. And he does have some opinions on which ones would be the really cool ones that not just his audience would like, but he thinks, anybody that plays Roblox Piggy will enjoy. And I kind of agreed with most of his choices and the ones that we discussed. So when the time is right, and that will be coming up, I think, well, I've already listed that it's kind of the second half of 2025. And that's not because it takes that long to work on. It's because we're focusing on other things. And we've kind of got one DLC for each half of the year. So first half is today. That is the Coma 2 DLC, the Coma 2 Vicious Sisters DLC. And then the second half will be Piggy Indoors combo. So that could be anywhere from like September to November, even into December. It really depends on how crazy the schedule gets with the other stuff. And I imagine around that time we'll start to drop some teasers of the Piggy Indoors characters. Also from Doors and Elsplash as well. I'm having similar talks with him as well. Thomas Animations. Let's see, 5. Thank you, Thomas. Will the Makeshift Puppet King plush be releasing with the first half, within the first half of the year? The Makeshift Puppet King plush, and I think you can see him behind me next to the Reaper Nurse. That is the prototype. Probably we're saving that one for Chapter 5's launch. We were kind of looking at doing a launch plushie of some kind, and we have that prototype there as kind of an option. Doesn't mean that's the one we're going to use, but I mean, it makes sense. It's the first level in the entire chapter. So there's also I haven't announced this yet. I did kind of tease it, is that we're going to start creating our own plushies made by Glowstick Entertainment, not with a partner. So it won't be with U2s. It won't be with Makeshift. It will be within our own company. We manufacture it and do it ourselves, and it's our own design. So it won't have to be forced into a certain style. Like, you two's all characters all have that face with the squinty eyes, and then Makeshift has like a face and a look that their makeshift plushies have to have. So we can do whatever look we want without having to conform to any style, and that's cool to have that extra option. So we can do things the way we'd like them to look in the size that we want. So there's always a chance that we may go with our own plushie instead for launch, and then just do that as like an extra thing. So we don't have a plan for the Puppet King plush at launch or release date yet, but it will be coming. It's not like a canceled plushie or anything. It will be released at some point. Same with, well, some people, everyone's already gotten their Dark Star plushie. I'm pretty sure it came like at the end of January for most people. So, but there is like a chance that we will do another Dark Star plushie that's our own, but that will be a very different design. Let me see. Another one from Anonymous Fan. Was Bierce where there was no ring piece in the Barely Buried, or would she have sent Doug there anyway? Well, remember that Bierce did not send Doug to Barely Buried. He was taken there by Malik. So that's not really part of Bierce's plan. And she had no power to open or close the Barely Buried portal because of that. So it'll make a little more sense, I think, with the story updates that we've added in, or I've added in to the chapter 1 through 4 update. There's a lot of story additions and things kind of added in that I'm not going to reveal yet, but you will get to see it early because we're going to give a build out to all the Dark Deception ambassadors and some of our creators that we've worked with for a while. They're going to get to play the build early, so you'll get a sneak peek of those things before it launches. And there's no embargo on that, so I may give it to them like a few days early. We'll see. But that includes things like the mystery room and just the progression of the levels in general, as well as the boss fights and the boss encounters. So there's a lot of little new bits of lore in there and new elements of the story that kind of, I think, answer some questions and leave less plot holes. I think the way I wrote Chapter 5 and the scale it went created plot holes that I had to go back and fix. Otherwise, it would have not made as much sense. So I think that has made the story much stronger and answered a lot of these questions that I get sometimes in these Q&As about things in the story, like Doug with Mascot Mayhem and Barely Buried and Mama Bear, and why Malik did some of the things that he did and why he didn't do some of the things that he didn't do. It kind of makes more sense of that. Let me see. Mr. Saturn through in 5. Hey, Vince. Glad to see you again. Was Malik telling the truth about there being no heaven or hell in DD? Oh, yeah. Actually, there is something. But it's kind of like heaven and hell is the mortal interpretation of what's there. I think one thing I thought was a lot of fun when kind of designing the Nightmare Realms was to utilize kind of religious takes on the afterlife, but kind of go with the assumption that they all got it partially right, but completely wrong, including like Christianity and Buddhism and everything, and kind of created this afterlife from that. And I think Doug and Bierce, through their actions, have set many things in motion that they kind of grasp the full gravity of in Chapter 5. That there really is no way back for them. There's only forward. And you will, I think, start to see how big the Nightmare Realms are. And had it's impossible to see all the moving pieces, but you'll finally get kind of a hint of what's going on behind the scenes and around Doug and Bierce. And you'll see that Doug and Bierce are just one path in this place, or one story that's going on. So yeah, I wish I'm kind of really looking forward to seeing the community's reaction to where I'm taking it all the way leading into Dark Deception 2, and where it's going to go from there. And then I think the Fortnite map Easter egg, one of them kind of alludes to that and teases it a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Joshua 3 and 5. Thank you, Josh. Will Puppet King be a boss stage for Monsters Immortals? We haven't even delivered all of the levels from Chapter 4 yet, so we don't have Joy Joy Land in yet. So yeah, we don't have any intention to put Chapter 5 levels in, and really, they're kind of massive. Like, I'm not sure how I could scale that down to be a Monsters Immortals map. May not be possible to put every single Dark Deception level as a map inside Monsters Immortals. And then, of course, that always depends on the fan support. So, is Monsters Immortals still selling well enough that we can keep devoting, team members and resources to adding new levels? I really hope there is, because I would love to do that. I think it would be really awesome to have a Joy Joy Land level where, Joy Kills come in and just murder everybody in the map. Like, that would be an amazing boss time. And it's there. I've got it kind of half set up. Like, it could be fully finished and put in, but I would need somebody else to do that so I can work on, the projects that are much more important. Dark Deception and Super Dark Deception at this time. So yeah, updating the base game is something I would love to keep doing. And I really hope the Monsters Immortals community gives us enough support that we can afford to do it. But yeah, before we get to Puppet King, I would want to do like Barely Buried and Mascot Mayhem, and then we still need a Torment Therapy map too. So yeah, all those Chapter 4 levels definitely deserve a map. Because right now I think it only goes to Crazy Carnival. Okay. Unicat Ninjas through in 10. Hi again, Unicat. But you are asking for Red. Okay. Red asks, can Enhance Plus change SS lighting zones? It looks the same. Can Malik's voice actor ever get into future live streams with you? Oh, Christopher Corey Smith. Yeah. Can Dan share what sense he has or he uses to make soundtracks? All right, well, let's start with the first one. SS lighting zones. Okay, so yeah, Stranger Sewers. I think you're saying like the two zones look very similar in the current build. I think the only real difference is like the second zone desaturates and has a little more grunge. But yeah, definitely not that extreme. I think we've already kind of addressed that with the Enhanced Plus. So yes, you'll see a much more clear difference this time around. And it looks a lot more like a sewer now, given the lighting update. So yeah, you'll be able to see that pretty soon. Don't worry, it's coming. And as far as Malik's voice actor getting into a future live stream with me, that would be pretty cool. I don't know if Christopher Corey Smith has that kind of free time. I know he loves doing Malik. You probably see him posting about Malik a lot. Definitely show him some love for bringing that character to life and making Malik awesome. We could not have done Malik without his voice. So I would love to do a live stream with him if he's down for it. I don't know who. I usually go through a sound studio when dealing with him. So I don't really deal directly with his agent. I'm not sure, voice actors and their agents can be very different. Hopefully his agent is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure it is. I don't think Chris would hire an agent that wasn't easy to work with. So I think he would be interested in something like that. I think maybe after Chapter 5 would be the right time to do something like that. Then he has a lot to talk about with all of you right now. Or maybe after Chapter 1 through 4 goes on consoles and a lot of new people get to play Dark Deception for the first time. That might be a good time to do like a promotional live stream with him. So yeah, I can ask him, see if he's interested. But it would definitely be timed to an event. It wouldn't just be like, oh, next week, Christopher Corey Smith for an hour for no reason. It would definitely be related to a game and promoting it because, he wants more people to know about Malik. And then as far as Dan and his sensei, I'm sure Dan would love to do a live stream. He's a real cool guy. He loves to do social media and YouTube and those things of that nature. And as far as I know, he doesn't mind to share his knowledge. He did an amazing job, I think, with the holiday horror synth music, that kind of 80s synth. I would really love to see him kind of break those down and talk about that once we, well, maybe not when Chapter 5 goes out. It could be like after Chapter 5 or maybe after one of the teasers. We'll see. Capybara Gamer threw in 5 reals. Thank you, Capybara. Our level's getting gameplay changes and Enhanced Plus, not counting visual changes. And Monsters Immortals will already existing data instantly give the achievements. Oh, okay. Well, do you want the good news or the bad news first? Let's see. Let's go with the good news. Okay, so gameplay changes, yes, they are getting gameplay changes. It's not just visual. Like I said, you're getting story changes. We're doing a lot of quality of life stuff with the gameplay. You get third person mode. So you can swap between first person and first person views to play through the game. Playing in third person feels very different. I actually like it maybe even a little better now than first person. We have new kill animation, new jump scares, new story elements with each level, the new lighting. Of course, I'm naming visual stuff too, but you're not going to get new powers or anything like that. The only new powers are with Chapter 5. It's related to that. So the same powers are going to be there. The base gameplay of Dark Deception is going to be the same. It's just going to be very different with the progression through the level and the boss encounters and stuff like that. It will be kind of the same, but it's going to be kind of different. I would compare it to like, playing the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's still Resident Evil 2, but obviously it's very different, and they've kind of laid some things out a little bit differently and increased the visuals a lot. So they even threw in like a couple new story elements. It's kind of like that. And as far as the existing data instantly giving the achievements, that's probably a no, because it doesn't. I don't believe it has any way to do so. So you will have to earn them from scratch. I could be wrong. I'm going to say no for now, but I'll double check and make sure that it can't pull from the data and unlock those achievements based on what you already have. So sorry to disappoint you. Just go with the no answer for now, and then be pleasantly surprised if I'm wrong. Let's see. Capybara Gamer threw in another 5 and asks again, are there any other secrets in Chapter 5 that's different to get, like in MM Zone 3? That's different to get, like in... Okay. Does No Room for Doubt take place in Fear Fortress? Have you heard of Evil Vince? No. Okay. As far as the other secrets that's different to get, like in Mascot Mayhem Zone 3, I think you're talking about like destructible walls, like they're hidden behind walls. Yes, we don't have like, I mean, there's a lot of destruction in Chapter 5. We do have like some creative ways of like creatively hidden folders, I'll put it that way. But I mean, for the most part, it follows the kind of established secret folder formula that we've used for most of Dark Deception. It's not going to be anything new in how we hide the folders. You just, behind a secret wall or down a secret elevator or up a secret ladder or destroy this secret wall. It's kind of like that. It's very simple, but it's hard to find still for some people. And as far as No Room for Doubt taking place in Fear Fortress, Yes, that does take place in Fear Fortress. And as far as evil vents, um, is that like a fan game or a character? I don't know what the context of that is, so I'll say no. I mean, I've seen some videos from like when there were game delays, people would make like some videos that were like, "Oh, Vince is evil." I think somebody did one with like Dr. Seuss at one point. So I've seen stuff like that, but I don't know if this is related to anything from like the toxic community. It could be just like a character in a game or a mod or something. So share the context, and then maybe I'll know what you're talking about. We'll see. Crash through in 5. Thank you, Crash. Speaking of coma, when you get the chance, could you check the ambassador server? Okay, yes, I will take a look. Sobless, or sorry, not Sobless, Sobble55 threw in $2. Thank you, Sobble55. How hard is the Malik boss fight? Well, it depends. How good are you? So yeah, it comes down to skill for that one. It can be very hard, or it could be fair and moderate challenge. I can't really say it's too hard because a lot of people are just really good at dark deception. So even if I struggle, I know they're gonna get through it like very easily. But then we also have the people who face a challenge just from navigating the hallways. Like they run face first into the wall and can't separate from the wall, and then they die, and they tell me the game's broken. So there's all different levels of skill. That's why we have the difficulty tiers. Let me see what else we have here. Capybara Gamer, will there be a zone in Chapter 5 with 400 plus shards? I would say all of them. Are the DD versions and other games going to have original levels? DD versions and other games. Which is better, DA, DCEP, or RK10? RK10. Okay. I know you're talking about the Fortnite and Minecraft and Roblox. So that's a yes and no. The Fortnite one is based on existing levels. So it's taken existing levels and rebuilt them in Fortnite, and now it's kind of like multiplayer. You can play with people inside Fortnite, and it's a different way of playing it. Things like the Roblox are more original, and it's kind of a spin-off side story. So it has actually original design, original characters, and original environments. It doesn't reuse any existing levels. So yeah, it's like a mix, yes and no. And then Minecraft is also kind of half and half. So yes and no. And then as far as DA Decep and RKTN, sorry, I'm not sure what that's referring to. It's could be because it's so late. I'm running on fumes, but I don't know what that's referring to. Sorry. Shadow X Acno through in 5. Thank you, Shadow. Will the giant rock with the symbols in Barely Buried be explained about its purpose in Chapter 5, or is that just for design purposes? That one we're going to leave at just for design. I mean, I could go in and write some lore for that pretty easily about why that's there. If you knew kind of like the larger lore behind the Nightmare Realms, it would be pretty easy to tie that to it and put a reason for why that's there. But I feel like that's really kind of some extra details I would say for later if we do like a lore book or something like that, which we have talked about doing like a character encyclopedia, like an encyclopedia of, or what do they call that? Sorry, I'm going to go with encyclopedia for now, but I know there's a better name, of creatures from the Nightmare Realms. Kind of like a zoology book or something. So we've actually discussed doing that. That would be like the perfect place to kind of put details like that that you wouldn't normally pay attention to or think about while going through the game, but you kind of like, huh, I always wondered why that's there and what those runes say and why it's only in this surreal zone. That's where we can kind of explain that a little bit better. In the game, it's kind of like getting lost in the weeds to kind of push details for something that kind of small within the level. I try to keep like the focus on the character development and the characters themselves, like details for them. And you could definitely put that in as like something Mama Bear related, but I'll save that for later. Definitely, that's like a good way to kind of give more background on these characters. First, I want people to enjoy them just within the Dark Deception storyline and kind of learn everything there is to learn about them within their role in that. And then once that's over and people are waiting for the sequel, then I can kind of release things that share those details as like a extra, oh, did you know type of thing. Like, speaking of Mama Bear, did you also know she does this, or she likes this, or doesn't like this, or she uses this for that? That's like a really cool thing to kind of expand and add those extra details. Capybara Gamer threw another 5 reals. Is the last power a normal one like the other ones, or is it somehow special? Sorry, one sec. I'm just kind of making sure I'm not going over time. Okay, is somehow special. Does the 7th power activate traps? Are the pillar demons enemies? Okay, let's start with the first one. Is the last power a normal one like the other ones, or is it somehow special? There is one special power inside of Chapter 5 that you may or may not see unless you unlock the Ascending. So I won't go into what that is, but there is one power I would consider special. Does the 7th power activate traps? No. And are the pillar demons enemies? Yes. And let's see, Mr. Mister threw in 5. Thank you, Mr. Mister. Hi, Vince. How many or what OSTs in Chapter 5 are extended, not looped in-game compared to the YouTube versions? Example, Collection Call in Chapter 4. I think those mainly pertain or relate to cutscene moments, those OST tracks that don't loop. So if it loops, it's a gameplay track. If it doesn't loop, it's usually a cutscene track. And I haven't really put up a lot of the cutscene tracks simply because it would kind of, spoil the mood, because they do kind of play, the melody of those tracks do kind of play and sync to the mood of the scene that's happening. So I kind of feel like that can give a sense of what's going on in the scene just by listening to that. So I kind of keep those ones off YouTube until the game releases, especially from levels like Prison Panic and Fear Fortress and Wicked Ways. I would say the only one I've released from Wicked Ways, which I've already kind of shared, is the Don't Call Me Helen track. And that one is actually a cutscene track. So that one doesn't loop. Let me see. What we have here. Sorry, I lost my place. Let me go back. Okay, I got it. Capybara Gamer, we got another one. Let me see. Thank you again. Threw in 5 reals. Will we be able to customize tablet controls in Enhanced Plus? Will we learn more about the Nemesis-looking enemy before Chapter 5? What happens when you S-rank Wicked Ways? Okay, so will you be able to customize tablet controls in the new enhancements? No, there's no changes to how the tablet operates. So the tablet operates exactly the same. That one is not changed. It says, will we learn more about the Nemesis-looking enemy? Okay, I know what you're talking about. Probably that one you're not going to learn about in Chapter 1 through 4. That one's specific to Chapter 5 and the events that happen in Chapter 5. And then what happens when you S-rank Wicked Ways? Um, I think if you're asking if that's like related to getting the true ending, yes. So it's related to unlocking the true ending by getting that. So it still kind of plays just as much a role as getting an S rank in all the other levels. It's just something you have to get to see the true ending. Joshua threw in 2. How come there no more mortal in the piggy mode? No, all the 2 doors or the 2 DLCs that are combined, piggy and doors, are both going to have monster and mortal characters. So the piggy presents a challenge, as there are no real. I mean, they're humanoid, but they're all pretty much animals. But I mean, we have some non-human. Well, I mean, we can always make an exception to make things work, as long as they are kind of positive characters, not negative, not killers. Then we can make an exception and kind of make it work with the mortal side, as long as they're not a predator. So that's just something I'll sort out with Manytoon to see which one he feels would work best in that role. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Thank you. Ducky asks, will Enhanced Plus add unique sounds for every portal, hallway entrance? Will entrances turn into proper doors detailing their level? There are no changes as far as like the red hallways and the portal entrances. Those are still going to be how they were the previous build. So the way that they enter levels is not going to change. It's still the same sound, same. The only thing that changes is the portal itself, the face icon on the portal. Let's see. Zia Nee threw in 5. Thank you, Zia Nee. Is Darkstar the youngest little sister in all 4 generals? Oh, I wouldn't call her the youngest, but maybe she presents herself that way. But I would say she's probably the sweetest and most energetic as far as appearances go. I mean, compared to Joykill and Puppet King and Mama Bear, she's definitely the energetic one of the group. She brings a different energy. I would let's put it that way. Capybara Gamer threw in another 5. Thank you, Capybara. Is the last power farting? It's like the second farting question I've gotten. What is with you guys and farting? It's like the second fart question I've gotten Q&A the last 2. And then somebody put that in a video and said Darkstar does not fart, because I confirmed that in the previous Q&A. So that's already been confirmed. I guess because it was Darkstar, now you're trying to confirm it for Doug. It's the last power farting. Maybe I can do that in Super Dark Deception. That's like the joke ending. Is the ultimate power for the ring is farting. You can imagine how that ending is going to go. Destroy the Nightmare Realms by lighting a match. What do Penny's eggs taste like? Eggs. Well, it depends how you cook them. Sunny side up or scrambled, or how do you like your eggs? And does the clown gremlins like to watch Lanky Blocks? I can't tell if you're serious about liking Lanky Blocks or not, because I promoted them at one point in one of the year-end videos, because they did a lot of Dark Deception videos and they got a lot of views. So I didn't know who Lanky Blocks was at the time, and I just thought it was cool that they got so many views, and I put it up and got so many people like asking why I liked Lanky Blocks and saying it was cringe or something like that. And I was like, I mean, I don't know. I see so many channels like that it doesn't bother me anymore. It's just kind of like, I just expect that from YouTube. So, yeah, Clown Gremlins, they probably watch Annoying Orange too. Anything that makes them laugh, because it's so stupid. And then does Hangry Eat lunchly. Oh God, now we're getting into Mr. Beast. Don't ban me. You're banned. All right, all your future super chats are banned now. You pushed your luck with lanky blocks, and you had to, go over the line with lunchly. Mr. Saturn threw in 5. Don't recall if or if this was answered, but were there any cut songs from Dark Deception, like the 3 sets you released a few years ago? If so, could we hear them one day? Yeah, I think so. I've gotten kind of a similar question to this in previous Q&As. I believe we do have some cut songs or versions of songs that, even if they're not cut, they're like previous versions that we kind of moved away from for existing tracks that I can share to kind of show the process and show like some songs we start off in a completely different direction before it winds up at the final product. It's kind of cool to see how Dan evolves his music, both by himself and with my input. Yeah, I think we'll at least have enough for one video. Let's see. Bubba threw in 5 Canadian. Thank you, Bubba. Is Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 at the same point of development as Chapter 5? Actually, if anything, Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 is way... I mean, considering when we started, it's way ahead of Chapter 5, where Chapter 5 was in the same amount of time. Like, I actually have to sometimes slow down Super Dark Deception because it's developing too fast, and I'm afraid Super Dark Deception will be finished before Chapter 5, and I'll start being tempted to release it before Chapter 5. But no, it's developing much faster than Chapter 5 because it's 2D. It's so much easier to do 2D than 3D. Most of the work with Super Dark Deception is just on the bug fixing side, but the art creation side is extremely fast, which is kind of a relief because, Dark Deception, everything takes so long. It's really nice to do a version of it that can be done quickly. And that's by game developer standards, not impatient fan standards. Impatient fans think everything should be done in 1 month or 2 months. Game developers know even the simplest game can take 3 months to 6 months. Anything under a year, we consider fast. That's considered fast. To do a complete game from design phase all the way through production and Q&A and then porting and all of that in less than a year. That's extremely quick depending on the scale of the game. Let's see. The Ghost TM threw in 5. Thank you, Ghost. Are you 100% sure Chapter 5 is coming this year? I'm never 100% sure of anything. I've always put a disclaimer. Subject to change. What I put out to the public is kind of like my optimistic estimations. And as a group of our fans that immediately take that as Vince's golden promise, like that is stamped in stone or chiseled in stone, and Vince has just made an irrefutable promise or unbreakable promise to deliver by that estimated date that he just spit out, pulled out of his butt for the fan base. Nothing is 100%. Anything can happen. Bugs can pop up at the last minute. Another game could try to launch at the same time of us, and we don't want to be at the same time. There's always room for delays. It's just the nature of the business. So continuing, you said, asking since you do not want to see death threats again if it delay. I'm not bothered by death threats. There's always going to be somebody that feels, okay with sending death threats from behind a computer. I'd be much more worried if somebody came up to my face and made a death threat straight to my face. But nobody makes death threats like that. It's always from behind a keyboard, through an email, or if they get your phone number. I don't consider those death threats. I just consider that like I don't know, just somebody venting or trying to harass you, trying to scare you. So I guess I don't scare easy. Um, that's not a brag. That's just the truth. So I would only be concerned if they were coming up to me making death threats. So the game, and I'd make a death threat over a game delay. I mean, that just shows immaturity. I mean, who gets that bent out of shape over a game? So is it coming this year? That's the plan. Is it 100%? Of course not. You know, there's many variables. It could wind up in early 2026, as many people have kind of predicted. I would rather that doesn't happen. So we're absolutely shooting for 2025, late 2025. That's what we have slated for our lineup for release. If everything stays on track, that's when we will release. If anything happens that causes a delay, like another strike or GTA 6 coming out exactly in October or November, or December or something, or any number of things that I am not able to predict because I'm not a fortune teller, that are outside of my control, then there's always room for a month or two delay. It's just the nature of things. So my goal is to deliver everything I have listed on that list this year to make this a massive year for Dark Deception. And so far, so good. We're just starting, but we've delivered everything that we said we're going to deliver on the first part of that list. And like the first 3 items, everything's on track. They might have slipped a couple days here and there, but they're mostly all on track, which speaks well for, getting Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 out and getting Dark Deception Chapters 1 through 4 out, everything out before June. I mean, that's ultimately our goal, is get all of those games listed on the first half out before June. The date really is kind of irrelevant as long as they're all out before June. So we're kind of looking at it that way. The date is flexible, but we want to hit everything within that time window. So let's see. What's the next one? Capybara, okay. Thank you again. Is it true that, 5 reals, again, multiple times. Is it true that every time someone asks Chapter 5 when, you delay Chapter 5 by 1 day? Is Chapter 5 still planned to come out on PC and consoles at the same time? I think I've joked about that. Like I said, I would delay it 1 day for every time somebody asked me where's Chapter 5, just to see if people would stop asking that. But it didn't slow them down at all. If anything, they like tripled down, like not just double down, like triple down on it. So if I actually went by that, you guys would get Chapter 5 in like 2050, based on how many times I've been asked where's Chapter 5 or Chapter 5 when. And then is it coming out on PC and consoles at the same time? That is actually, yeah, that's kind of our plan, is to do a kind of synced up launch. Console releases can be tricky due to the lot check system and the whole QA process, especially with Sony and Nintendo. But if we time it right, everything will work out and get through that without as little issues as possible. Then it's very possible for us to have a simultaneous launch, which would be the perfect way, I think, to end the first story arc of Dark Deception, Dark Deception 1. And then if we can do that, then we can kind of get the physical edition going. We definitely want to do a physical release of Dark Deception, one that's really cool. We have a couple partners that we've been talking to for a while to make a really amazing box set that will be extremely limited, because it's so special. It's something that we'll probably sell exclusively on our website. So you'll have to go to the Glowstick Entertainment website to buy it. Kind of like you have to go to like limited run games. But we're putting a lot of effort into this physical edition, especially, the more they keep changing the rules on digital, and it's just a license and you don't own anything. I think it's really important to have a physical copy so that Dark Deception isn't like lost to time in 20 years. I want people to be able to go back and play Dark Deception for as long as, they want to, and they can remember it. So, yeah, that means we got to have really good physical editions of these releases. So we're going to try to sync that up too, but physical takes a little bit longer. Autumn Azure threw in 2. Can you give us a hint on Holiday Horror's Organic Trap? Organic Trap. Trying to remember what I said previously for the trap inside Holiday Horror, because there's several, and I want to make sure you're not like walking me into revealing something that I didn't reveal previously. Well, I mean, each zone kind of has its own surprise that's unique. As a Holiday Horror has several different types of mannequins. There are kind of, I wouldn't call them traps, but like a unique obstacles in each zone 1, 2, and 3. So I can't reveal any of that. I think you already know. I can't reveal any of that. So I hope that hint is enough of a kind of new little tidbit for Holiday Horror. Okay, I'm decoding. I got Unicat in Jazz 5. Thank you, Unicat, again. And she says, is Puppet Master's brain a cone? Does he have a brain? And why is Malik bald? Okay, Puppet Master's brain a cone. Well, he does have a cone head, so that does technically make sense that his brain, if he had one, would fit within that cone. I feel like this is going to be one of those like real anatomy of SpongeBob things where they dissect SpongeBob and show his real organ anatomy inside and everything fits in his weird shape. We could do something like that with Puppet King later. Well, I mean, these are demons. They don't really follow human anatomy, so it's up to your imagination what's inside that cone. And then as far as why is Malik bald? I don't know. It's like a demon with a wave is just not going to intimidate as well, I think. I think that he wears the baldness well. You know, it's got to have be able to view the horns and everything. He's definitely not like the beautiful demon. See, Joshua threw in another 2. Who is Agatha's mom? Oh, well, I mean, Agatha's, I guess, previous mortal life will be kind of revealed more in chapter 5. There is a moment for that. It doesn't really go into Agatha's mom, as that's just not a relevant character important to the storyline. But you will get a hint of her in that moment and scene. So I don't know if that will be enough, but it's there. It is there at least. The Bowman threw in 50 sec. Thank you, Bowman. Hi, Vince. Hope you're having a great weekend. Just want to ask, could it work if Monsters and Mortals gets a split screen update in the future? Honestly, I mean, are there any games that still do split screen? I haven't seen that in such a long time. I'm trying to remember any recent game that has used like split screen, local co-op, or even like I mean, other than like a remaster of an old game that had it present inside the game. But no, but the answer to that question, sorry, I'm going like off with that, but no, we're not going to have a split screen update. That's just not the type of game that Monsters and Mortals is. It's just asynchronous online horror, so no need for split screen. Capybara Gamer threw in 5 again. Thank you, Capybara. Will the second book have chapter 5 stuff? Is it coming before chapter 5? How's the deal with SAG-AFTRA going? How is progress on Wicked Ways? Are there any other OSTs made yet for Wicked Ways? So will the second book have chapter 5 stuff? Yes. It does kind of tie to chapter 5 a bit. Is it coming before chapter 5? That is the plan, yes. and I think it's still on track for that. So that's the Malik Archives Volume 2. Volume 1's already out. You can buy it on Glowstick Entertainment's online store. We have chapter or Volume 2 is being written right now. It has a couple new, two more new novellas in it, two new storylines with different characters from the first volume. And then how's the deal with SAG-AFTRA going? It's not going anywhere. They continue to deadlock and refuse to negotiate with each other. So I think the SAG-AFTRA strike is looking a lot worse than we were expecting. We thought they were about to come to the table and sign a deal and get this over with because, while they're doing this strike, the SAG-AFTRA members are not allowed to work with any company that hasn't signed this temporary agreement or is working with a studio that was named in their strike. So a lot of these smaller voice actors are out of work. They can't make money. And they're kind of all treated equally. So these big voice actors, they're not making money, but they're not sweating it because, they already have a lot of money. But these small voice actors that rely on these gigs can't work, can't earn an income, can't make a living. They can't wait out like a 12 or 7 to 12 month strike as easily as like a top name can because they have plenty of money. So I've talked to a lot of the voice actors and they were hoping this strike would be over by now so they could get back to work, but it seemed like SAG's just not going to back down. They really want these guarantees, and it seemed like the studios are also not going to back down. So they're at a bit of an impasse, and I think they're both too stubborn to do what's best for the voice acting community. I mean, I would love to say that they have the best interest of all of their members at heart, but I think SAG-AFTRA is maybe just looking out for the top earners in that membership. I could be wrong. I mean, being a little bit of a cynic here by saying that, but just from what I've experienced working with SAG in the past. But AI protections are important. They are important. Just if you've seen anything AI online, you can see how ridiculous they can get with it and how much they can abuse it. So I think these AI protections are important. I just don't know if they're going to get all the ones they want in the first go. It may take several, God, that sounds terrible, but it may take several strikes and several negotiations to get to an agreement that finally offers any kind of real coverage or protection. We'll see. I'm really not in that room with them. Capybara Gamer again. Is Chapter 5 content already 100% planned? Could Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 delay Chapter 5 if they aren't ready on the same day or same time? Is the Chapter 5 teaser trailer part of the 2 trailers? So is Chapter 5 content already 100% planned? Sorry, what is that referring to? I mean, Chapter 5 is 100% planned. Like, we're going to release Chapter 5. And as far as could Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 delay Chapter 5? No, of course not. If for some reason Super Dark Deception Chapter 3 was lagging, we would not hold Chapter 5 up for Super Dark Deception. Then at that point, they would not release so close together. Super Dark Deception would just come out whenever it's done, and it would be after Chapter 5. And is the Chapter 5 teaser part of the 2 trailers? We haven't set a number for Chapter 5 trailers, and in fact, I've never announced how many trailers Chapter 5 is going to have. So this is just the first teaser trailer, which is a glimpse. It's not a gameplay trailer. It's not a final trailer. It's just a teaser. So it's just going to give you a glimpse. And we may do several of those. We could do 2, we could do 3. It really depends how much we want to show and when we want to show it. And then we may do a couple, like a cinematic trailer and a gameplay trailer. So, I mean, we could have anywhere from 3 to 5 trailers for Chapter 5. I think it's a big enough game that it warrants it. Obviously, I think 3 is probably a good number. I'm not going to go up to 5, but I'm just saying it's been done before. Unicat Ninjas, Marshall asks, will there be a second ballroom? Oh, and she threw in 10. Thank you very much. Will there be a second ballroom invasion in Chapter 5? Nope, that's a one-time deal. And which level in Chapter 5 is the scariest in your opinion? In my opinion, I think... I mean, it really depends on what scares you, but I think the ones that are the most intense would be Fear Fortress or Wicked Ways. Although I think Prison Panic has some really kind of frightening moments too. So I don't know. I think each one of those 3, and in some ways, I think holiday horror also qualifies. I mean, that's just kind of lumping them all together and refusing to pick a winner. But I think they all have like a very scary moment or segment. So I don't know if I can call one of them the scariest. I just think maybe Fear Fortress and Wicked Ways have more due to the larger size and the more climactic point in the story that they take place. Oh, is there another question? Oh yeah, how many enemies are introduced in Fear Force apart from Malik? There's a few. I mean, I'm not going to tell you the number or reveal them, but yeah, there's multiple. Okay, sorry, I got to scroll here. Lost my place. And sorry guys, but it looks like we're hitting the time limit. We're about an hour and a half. Yep. So I'm going to cut this off. I'll do 5 minutes more. Apologies again if you joined in and you're wondering why I'm cutting it off at an hour and a half. It's because we're releasing a DLC for Monsters and Mortals today. The DLC is ready to release. I can release it right now. I can't from this computer. But as soon as this ends, I'm going to release, and then I'm going to wrap up the trailer and get that out. So we have kind of launch responsibilities. So I can't let this drag on for too long. For anyone that put in a question and didn't get it answered because of this time restriction, I'm very happy to answer it on social media or in email. Just send it to me there and I will, give you the answer that you have asked for. And I apologize that we don't have more time, but I appreciate all of your support. And we will do another Q&A at the end of March. So this will be kind of a unique month. This was supposed to be a February live stream, but because of the delay, it kind of slipped into the first couple days of March. So I can easily do another one kind of at the end of March, like 30 days from now or 3 weeks. And then we'll have a lot to talk about because, the DLC will be out for Monsters and Mortals, and at that point, Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 will be out, and the Fortnite map will be out. So we'll have plenty of new stuff to talk about. It will be a lot, probably better conversation. So let me grab a couple more questions. I just got to find where YouTube dropped me from. Whoa, that was a big drop. Okay, there are a lot of... I feel bad. There's a lot of super chats I'm not going to get to answer. Okay, I found it. So Capivara Gamer would 3 and 5 again. Would Dark Deception be in Dead by Daylight? Is Finding Frankie coming to Monsters and Mortals? Will there be an Ape Escape minigame and Super Dark Deception? Is the Chapter 5 teaser trailer going to come out in June? So Dark Deception and Dead by Daylight? Nope, we haven't even discussed that. But I think usually getting into Dead by Daylight requires a movie since all of their characters are cinematic. I think that's been my theory for Five Nights at Freddy's, is that it didn't happen until after Five Nights at Freddy's had a movie, thus becoming a cinematic horror character. So maybe that could validate it. or it could just be the renewed interest in Five Nights at Freddy's due to that and the new games. I don't know, but I assume every character in that game requires some kind of a cinematic origin or representation. Finding Frankie and coming to Monsters and Mortals. I think there was like a list of new horror IP that we were considering for Monsters and Mortals. At one point, it was like Amanda the Adventurer or Finding Frankie, or I think one was like Indigo Park. A couple others. It would really depend on just which. I mean, it comes down to which one would have fans supporting it. We can't make a DLC that nobody will buy. So we would probably choose the fan base that's the most active and supportive and would appreciate the DLC the most and actually come out and buy it. So it's possible it could be Finding Frankie if they were the most active and supportive fan base, but it's hard to say. And it really depends on how well the Coma DLC does, if we even get, and the Piggy Indoors one, if we even get to the point of looking for another DLC partner. As far as Ape Escape minigame and Super Dark Deception, I mean, we love Ape Escape, but we don't have one planned at the moment. We do have a lot of cool minigames planned in Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. You've seen some of them already. And is the Chapter 5 teaser trailer going to come out in June? We don't have a date for the Chapter 5 teaser trailer. It could be in June at the very end of that time window, or it could come a lot faster and come out in like April or May. So it's kind of a wait and see thing at this point. Autumn Azure threw in another 2. Thank you. Your favorite upcoming Easter egg? Probably the one I mentioned that I haven't revealed yet that's related to Chapter 5. I mean, they're all related to Chapter 5, but I think you'll know it when you see it. Okay. Marshall threw in €5. Thank you, Marshall. Is the mannequin centipede going to appear in HH? Can you tell us the name of TV head enemy in PP? And what's your favorite Chapter 5 boss fight? Going to appear, mannequin centipede. Going to appear in HH. I don't think I've discussed that or said anything about that yet. Holiday horror. But I guess, I mean, you could say there's something like that. But I can't tell where it's going to appear. Can you tell us the name of the TV head enemy in PP? Prison Panic. There is a TV head enemy. I think people have seen it in the blob render and some other kind of little cryptic images, but I haven't said the name of it yet. They kind of relate to Darkstar, but I'm not ready to reveal like what they are or what role they're going to play. That's something I'll kind of show when we're kind of closer to release or in one of the teasers. And then what's your favorite Chapter 5 boss fight? As far as the boss fights go, I mean, there's... That's hard to pick, actually. I kind of like the holiday horror one, and I like Prison Panic. And I also like a boss fight inside of Wicked Ways. They all kind of have a similar element that kind of appeals to me. I'm more interested to see which one all of you like better later on. You can kind of give me your feedback and rank them based on how much you like them. Oh, YouTube did the jump again. Oh, dang it. Well, actually, we're at an hour and 40 minutes now. So I'm going to have to cut the stream because it did another jump. But we have to go. I have to go get the Coma 2 Vicious Sisters out. So sorry, guys. Sorry to all of you again. Really hate to have to cut this short. But I appreciate you all joining this stream and hanging out with me for an hour and a half. And I hope you'll be going to play Monsters and Mortals after this. It's like almost 3 a.m. here. So normally I would do a live stream for a new DLC launch. And I probably will. I'll do one like maybe a bit later tomorrow. Well, tomorrow for me, like 10 or 12 or like same day after the launch. So I might see some of you online playing in the new map, and I hope you all enjoy it. And I'm fingers crossed that we got all the bugs. I think we did. I don't think there's any left. We checked it obsessively, so hopefully everything goes smoothly and there's no bugs and no issues. But you know, nothing ever goes the way you want to. But thank you all for being here, and I'll see you next time. And definitely go support Monsters and Mortals and support the new DLC. And if you have a chance, play the Coma 2 Vicious Sisters. It's an amazing 2D horror game. There are not a lot of great 2D horror games, very few and far between compared to 3D. So it's on Switch, it's on PS5, PS4. Play that and then play the Monsters and Mortals Coma 2 Vicious Sisters DLC. So, all right. You all have a great day wherever you are. And I